All right, guys. Today we're going to do a little bit of reviewing. It says solving systems by substitution, but it's just really solving systems review because we can do it by substitution or some other method. All right, so when we review this, we know the solution to a system of equations is where the two lines cross or intersect, right? You can find the solution by typing the equations in y equals or by plugging in answer choices, right? Those are two ways that we can solve. Another way to solve a system is by substitution, and it's best to use substitution when equations is in y equals form or x equals form. We kind of touched on this yesterday, right? So I want you to use whatever method that you're comfortable with. And the purpose of this video is to actually review how we would do this in the calculator, right? So when we do this problem, all right, we already have this bottom equation in y equals form, right? This top equation is not in y equals form. But what we can do to put it in y equals form is to remember that we can put parentheses here in front of our negative 12 and then write our minus sign and then negative 4x close parentheses divided by this negative 2 here. Now we know double negatives is just plus positives, so we change that to plus 4x. And then there we go. Now from here, if we go in and type in our y equals, this parentheses negative 12 plus 4x close parentheses divided by negative 2 into y1. And in y2, negative 2x minus 12 all divided by 4, or you can simplify that if you like. Then we can discover what our solution is by just typing second trace 5 and enter 3 times. Don't be afraid to do that, right? All right, something else I want to mention is if we want to continue with substitution, because we learned that yesterday, we can also do that. I am going to erase what's here, so if you want to write that down, go ahead and finish up. All right, let's say we want to do substitution and not graphing. Then what we can do here is I'm going to simplify this right here so that negative 2x divided by 4 is negative 1/2 x. And if you didn't know that, you can just plug negative 2 divided by 4 in your calculator. You'll get negative 0.5. And then hit math, enter to change it to fraction form, and you're going to get negative 1/2. From there, I'm going to take negative 12 divided by 4, and we get negative 3. So now this bottom equation is simplified. From here, since it's in y equals form, I'm going to take that y equals, and I'm going to plug it right in here into the top equation. And from here, I'm going to do some simplifying, okay? So we have negative 4x minus 2. But since we're substituting something different for y, we put parentheses and then equals negative 12. All right, I come back in here and I'm substituting negative 1/2 x minus 3. All right, and there we go. So now it's just going to be some simplifying going on. And since I'm simplifying, I'm going to make sure that I pay attention to the fact that this 2 is negative. All right. And so now we can distribute it inside of the parenthesis. So negative 4x. And then negative 2 times negative 1/2 x. If we plug that in the calculator, we're going to get that this should be 1x. All right, 1x. And then negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6 equals negative 12. From here, we're going to simplify and solve for x like we know how. So that's negative 4x plus 6 equals negative 12. Right? I rewrote it just so that this can be all in alignment. All right? Negative 4x plus 4x plus x is negative 3x. And then bring down our plus 6 equals negative 12. Subtract 6 from each side. And what we see is negative 3x is equal to negative 18. Divide by -3, and our x is 6. Seeing that x is 6 should help us note what we can eliminate. B and D. All right, B and D. So, to find y, we already know that y is equal to -1/2 x minus 3. So, we're just going to substitute for x6 and simplify. So, that's y equals -1/2 times 6 minus 3. And when you plug this in your calculator, what you should get is -6 for y, giving us an answer of A. So we just reviewed how we can solve this first problem by graphing or by substitution. All right, so now we can do the second example. I know many of you are going to choose this graphing, and that's fine, but we can also use substitution. So let's review graphing real quick. All right, if we want to solve this by graphing, we already have the second one in y equals form. All right, so you can just plug that into your y equals. I do recommend us putting parentheses around the numerator since everything is being divided by 2. And then for this top equation, what we can do is make sure that this is in standard form. Standard form has x as our in the front instead of y. So what we can do is just switch this around to be -4x plus 2y equals -30. And now, if we want to put it in y equals form, we put our parentheses, right? -30 minus -4x, right? Double negative just means plus positive. Close parentheses divided by +2. And now we have it in y equals form. So we can put this one into y1 and we can put this one into y2. Once it's in there, we're going to do second trace, right? 5, and then enter 3 times. And you should be given an answer. Now, what we're going to do is substitution. All right. And for simplicity's sake, if we do substitution, my suggestion here is to simplify this. And we always talk about don't deal with decimals, but we're going to deal with decimals with this just to help ourselves out. So 5 divided by 2 is 2.5 minus 1x divided by 2 is just 0.5x. All right, and we're going to use this for our y equals. From here, since we know what y is, we can substitute this right in here. So that this is 2, open parentheses, minus 4x equals -30. Don't forget, we just said what we're plugging in is 2.5 minus 0.5x. We can go ahead and distribute the 2 inside and simplify. So that this becomes 5 minus x minus 4x equals -30. Combine our like terms here. -x minus 4x. That gives us -5x or minus 5x. 5 minus 5x equals -30. From here, we're going to solve for x, so subtract 5 from each side here. And we have -5x equals -35. Divide each side by -5. And x equals +7. Since x is +7, we can eliminate b and d. And then we're going to go back and use our y equals 2.5 minus 0.5x to find our y. So this is y equals 2.5 minus 0.5 times 7. Now that looks a little interesting, but 2.5 minus 0.5 of 7 or half of 7 is 3.5. And 2.5 minus 3.5 is negative 1. So that's how we know our answer should be C. Take a moment and see if you can work out 3. All right, it may have been a little hard to come up with our y equals for this top part, or it may have been easy. But if we want to put it in y equals, we can just subtract 11 from both sides. And what that leaves us with is y equals x minus 11. All right, so we have y equals x minus 11 for the top. And we have y equals negative 2x plus 19 at the bottom. So we have 1 and we have 2. If we plug it in the calculator and hit second, trace, 5, enter 3 times, we got our answer, right? Now, if we're talking substitution, starting from the beginning, we're given x equals and y equals, so it does not matter which equation we work with. Since x equals 11 plus y, let's go ahead and substitute that into the bottom for x. So that's y equals negative 2 times 11 plus y and then plus 19. Now it's just about solving for y, so that we distribute negative 22 minus 2y plus 19. Negative 22 plus 19 gives us a negative 3, so that's y equals negative 3 minus 2y. Add 2y to each side, and we're left with 3y equals negative 3. If we divide by 3, we get that y is negative 1. Since we know our y is negative 1, we can go ahead and cancel out A and D for our answer choices. And how do we determine what our x might be? Don't forget, the first equation was x equals 11 plus y. So x is 11 plus negative 1, which is a positive 10. So our answer is B. And from here, we can go and complete this activity. The way we're going to complete it is you take 3 colors and you're going to put them in each of the boxes, whatever colors you want. And then you're going to go through and work out each of these problems. Here's our first problem, right? Work it out whichever way you decide. And once you work it out, you're going to come up with one of these answers. And whichever answer you come up with, you're going to color this portion right here the color you selected. Then you're going to go to the next problem and work it out however you decide. And then you're going to color this portion, whichever answer you came up with. Take some time and work on it.